Flash flooding impacts many areas of Broome County. Also, a jury makes a decision about the use of excessive force in the Robert Leone case of 2010. Next News at 11 starts right now. Thunderstorms moved through the southern tier earlier tonight, causing flash flooding, down power lines, down trees, and even some water rescues.
Yeah, and we have some more on the way. I'll talk about those in a few minutes. But throughout the night, we've received help from you, the viewers, who experienced some of that damage and shared your pictures with us.
Now let's take a look at some of the shots. This shot is from Lower Stella and Deo Hill roads. And as you can see right here, the water just completely filled the street, and with it came a lot of debris as well.
And we have a shot here. This was from Crandall Street. You'll be able to see that water is where it's not supposed to be at this point.
Exactly.
Looks like that entire street is covered. Even have some water. Looks like it's impinging upon people's foundations there. I hope that anybody that was in that area didn't suffer any significant damage.
Now we're taking a look at our next shot. Now, Howard, we talked about this earlier tonight.
We did.
Actually, we're going to take a look at another shot right here. It's on Reynolds Road. We talked about, obviously, the water filling the streets. But what happens when that water has to be cleared from the streets? As you can see, this storm drain, which is used to clear the water, it's completely filled and covered with debris.
And like you said, then the water has no place to go but follow the path of least resistance, which sometimes is onto the roadway or into your front yard. And again, we're keeping an eye on some of the storms that are still moving through right now. Some of these storms that have, or some of these drains that have already been blocked from earlier flash flooding could again flare up, and if they are blocked, we could see some additional flash flooding with this line moving through.
Exactly.
Something we're going to keep on. Why don't you hit the play button on that one? This is one of the neatest videos that we've seen. It's of water coming up a drain. This was at the YMCA in Binghamton, so a pretty incredible video there, but definitely not
an
something you
interesting
want to
shot.
see.
No, you definitely do not want to see that inside anywhere you are. And this last video was taken in Port Crane. Now, we said tonight that Interstate 88, all of the towns on that interstate were completely devastated with a lot of these floods tonight. And as you can see, this video was taken by a viewer just at a gas station as the water kept rolling through, and those cars did too. So again, another reminder, please be safe when you're out on those roads, especially with this next line of storms coming through.
And with it being dark, of course, I'm not expecting a repeat of what we saw earlier today, but again, it only takes a little bit of rain to produce some localized flash flooding, given that we've already seen it this afternoon. So because it is dark, you may not be able to see it. Take your time and watch where you're driving. Now,
we showed you a picture before of Deo Hill Road. Let's show you a little bit of video from Deo Hill as well. Now, this is the scene just behind our station on Deo Hill Road shortly before 7 o'clock tonight. Residents living near the town line between Johnson City and the town of Dickinson were out on the road urging drivers to turn around due to the mudslide. Now, the main source of the flooding appeared to be from a ditch at the town line where the water rushed down the hill onto Lower Stella Ireland Road. Les Smith has lived on Deo Hill for 29 years to this exact date, actually, but he says he's never seen anything like this.
No. I've seen some of the flooding up above where the drains get clogged up, and I've seen it come down, but it's never been anything like this.
Now, meanwhile, 2 drivers are safe tonight after their cars got stuck in rising floodwaters in Johnson City. It happened at the corner of CFJ Boulevard and Gannett Drive. Marlene Valoy was driving one of the cars, and she says she was trapped inside for 45 minutes.
My car was taking in water as the cars were passing by, and I honked, and no one bothered to stop to see what was the issue.
Now, eventually a woman did stop and called a tow truck. Valoy says she was just on her way to work at Walmart when she got stuck. Neither driver was hurt. And in Binghamton, flooding covered entire backyards and made some pumps work extra harder. Objects were floating down the street. Residents on Spruce Street say their neighborhood gets flooded every time it rains. And neighbors told Action News they saw city crews drive right through the rising water, but they didn't stop to help. They say during bigger storms, they've even used boats to get out of their homes. And more flooding here in the town of Shenango. Water started building up here on Clarendon Drive. Neighbors say their road floods more than most do due to poor drainage. Now, in some areas, the flooding was more than 3 feet deep. The water also made its way under River Road across the street, the Shenango Commons Golf Course. As you can see right here, fairways and sand traps were washed out, and members of the course say the drainage will take several hours. Now we have breaking news right now. Action News is currently at the scene of a 2-alarm fire at the Grace Lutheran Church at 709 Main Street in Vestal. The call came in right after 10:30 tonight. According to Scanner reports, the fire is fully involved, and we'll bring you more details as information becomes available. The Muslims of America responded on Monday to the arrest of Robert Duggar. Duggar is the former congressional candidate from Tennessee who admitted plotting an attack on a Muslim village of Islamburg in Hancock. Now, as our Stephen Adams tells us, it wasn't the only plot to kill them.
To explain the level of alarm that the community is facing right now, it's pretty bad.
Islamburg in Hancock is a target for anti-Muslim extremists. In 2013, 2 men from Albany were arrested for allegedly building an X-ray weapon to be used against the settlement. In April, residents say they got a death threat independent from the plan of Robert Duggar.
Duggar's evil plot served to destroy our safety and security by terrorizing us in an attempt to launch the country into civil strife.
Robert Duggar has pleaded guilty to plotting to carry out an organized attack on Islamburg using explosives, an M4 assault rifle, and a machete.
Duggar and his associates have been labeled the American Taliban.
The FBI used an anonymous source and wiretapped his phone leading up to his arrest. Investigators say Duggar planned to burn down a school and a mosque. But the maximum prison sentence for Duggar's plea deal is 5 years behind bars. His would-be victims say if it were a Muslim plotting the attack, the penalty would be far greater.
There should be no discrepancy in how the laws are applied to us as Muslims versus to someone who's not Muslim.
Media reports have attempted to portray Islamburg as some sort of terrorist training camp, but Action News found no credible evidence to support those claims. And people living in Islamburg say they work and actively participate in their community.
If we were conspiring, if we were plotting, if we were looking to commit, where would we go? This is our country. This is our home. Where would we go? Where would our children go? Where would our families go?
We are integrated and assimilated in this society, and we're no different than anybody else.
But there is a difference. Islamburg is now a community living in fear. In Binghamton, Stephen Adams, WBNG TV, Action News.
Now, Duggar is currently under house arrest. A spokesperson for Islamburg declined to say just how many people live in their community because he says people want to hurt them. New tonight, a federal jury has found that 5 Pennsylvania state troopers did not use excessive force in a traffic stop and an arrest that left a Vestal man severely injured in 2010. Robert Leone filed a federal lawsuit against the troopers over injuries he said he received after his arrest in March of 2010. Now, Leone says he was beaten at the scene and then again at the hospital before he was charged in a beating that began as a slow-speed chase through Bradford County. The 5 officers named in the lawsuit are Trooper Andrew Burrian, Trooper Matthew Knock, Trooper Thad Warnick, Trooper Scott Reffner, and Corporal Roger Stipak. Despite police dash cam video that shows the scuffle, jurors found state police officers did not violate Leone's rights after the slow-speed chase. 2 years ago, Leone was convicted in criminal court of assault, fleeing, and resisting arrest. Meanwhile, in Binghamton, discussions continued tonight in City Hall about the Police Modernization Act of 2015. Now, this proposed law aims to prevent racial profiling in Binghamton by increasing public trust in the police. It was brought to the table last month as a result of a recent study that was done by BU professor Sean Massey. These results suggested there was racial disparity. Tonight, the Binghamton Police Department says more research needs to be done. The police department also said they are willing to work with the community to gain back its trust.
There's always been a distrust in the black community with law enforcement. And now, since a lot of things has been going on nationally is a lot of attention. Basically, everyone is saying now is really time to sit at the table and work things out.
The city will budget money next year for police training with diversity. And still to come on Action News at 11. We'll take a behind-the-scenes look and find out why emergency service workers are honored this week. Action News is currently at the scene of a 2-alarm fire at the Grace Lutheran Church in Bethel. Our Stephen Adams is live at the scene with more. Stephen?
Caroline, this is still very much a working fire. The call came in about 30 minutes ago for Grace Lutheran Church, which is the building you see smoking behind me, the smoke putrid here. Neighbors say this is the second fire in about 6 months here in this neighborhood. We're at the corner of Main and Hazel. Now, Mark Whitman joins me live now. Mark is the man who called 911. You made that original 911 call. Mark, what did you hear? What happened?
I heard a lot of glass shattering, and then I seen a lot of smoke, and then the time I got 911 on the line, I seen flames coming through the roof of the church.
Now, Caroline, this is a 2-alarm fire here in Vestal. The biggest loss, Mark told me, is the stained glass windows of this beautiful building. We'll, of course, give you as much info as we can coming up on Action News tomorrow morning. In Vestal, Stephen Adams, WBNG TV Action News.
All right, thanks, Stephen. And of course, we will keep you updated on our website with all of this information. That's WBNG.com. We'll be right back.